So the difference between unsaturated fat and saturated fat is their carbon bonds and basically how tightly they are bound together. So unsaturated fats are typically going to be at room temperature, they're going to be liquid at room temperature, and saturated fats have more tightly bound carbon bonds and they are going to be more solid at room temperature. So think of olive oil as your unsaturated fat, it's going to be liquid at room temperature, and the more saturated fat like coconut oil is going to be solid at room temperature, so you have to heat that coconut oil up to have it be liquid. When you hear fats and people talk about unsaturated fats, monounsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats, and saturated fats. So those are the main types of fats. So the unsaturated fats would be the more monounsaturated fats and the polyunsaturated fats, and then comparing that to the saturated fats. Saturated fat gets a lot of conversation, right? And it has been for decades now about how it will clog your arteries and cause heart attack and stroke. And again, it's this broad, sweeping, overgeneralized statements that really has done us very little good in conventional wisdom. And that's too simplistic to say saturated fat is bad. We need a collection of all types of fats, most people do, for optimal health. So you're going to want to get some saturated fat in your diet for most people, and of course the monounsaturated fats from olive oil and avocados, nuts and seeds, and then the good polyunsaturated fats like the omega fats from wild-caught fish, and even obviously some nuts and seeds as well. So I think balance is important here, and we shouldn't be demonizing one. It's an oversimplistic, incomplete perspective on healthy fats. It's not fat that's the problem, it's the bad fats that are the problem, and the oxidation of certain fatty acids. So for example, polyunsaturated fats are very sensitive to light and heat, so they can become rancid and oxidized. And things like vegetable oil, canola oil, these sort of higher PUFA or polyunsaturated fats are oxidized and they can drive inflammation up. So it's inflammation and the oxidation of these good fats that become bad fats by extracting and processing them. They're not in their more whole food, safe, protective form. But saturated fats, it's the quality of the saturated fat. So how, for example, if butter comes from conventional cows and the cows fed corn, and we know that's going to impact the fatty acid profile of conventional dairy. It's not necessarily dairy that's all bad, it's how we've treated the cow and raised the cow and the quality of our farming industry, I think as a whole, instead of just saying that's the fat that's bad. And that applies to grass-fed beef versus conventional CAFO factory farm beef. It's more of what we've done to farming and the cow or the animal, whatever you're talking about, more than the product itself. Now, there are some caveats to that conversation. There are people that have genetic SNPs like the ApoE44 and the ApoE34 SNP. These are genetic alleles that make them more sensitive to saturated fats. And for those people, we can still, and we love to get the benefits of ketosis even for these people, but they're going to have to focus more on monounsaturated and polyunsaturated, being more plant-based keto and good omega fats from fish. So still get the benefits and leverage the benefits of ketosis, but shift their fats from getting less saturated fat and more of these other plant-based fats. And that's, again, one of the main reasons why I advocate ketotarian approach, because it's just naturally lower in saturated fat and more on these other healthier fats. There are people that are hyper responders to saturated fat, and you will see them when they shift to going to the ketogenic diet. You'll see their lipids go in the wrong direction. You'll see their triglycerides spike or the inflammation level spike. It's not the ketogenic diet that's the problem. They just have not done it in the way that works for their body. So you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, to use that horrible expression. You just want to find how to personalize the keto diet for you. And that is a major thing that I talk to patients around the world with, because this is a really important topic of the ketogenic diet, but let's do it in a way that's right for you, right for your body, that's sustainable for you and your body. But that's the bigger point of what functional medicine bases it on. Let's find out what works for you on a bio-individual level. So saturated fat is not all bad, but it's definitely a conversation of finding out what's right for your body.